Okay, good evening. It is 6:30, and I'd like to call to order the December 14th, 2023 regular meeting of the Architecture Review Board. First on the agenda was typically approval of minutes, but we're waiting for one commissioner who needs to be here for us to approve those, so we're going to kind of hold off on that and jump right into the applications. Let's see. First up is 2785 Main Street. Review a petition to the Zoning Commission by petitioner Curran Volkswagen for a new design proposal for the Volkswagen showroom, size of facility not mentioned at subject site.
Can I present something here? Is that okay, or I have to stay out here?
No, you're welcome to come closer.
Oh, right, because I have some things I have to do. Thank you.
Identify yourself for the record, please, before you start.
My name is Joe Nicolao. I'm an associate architect. Our office is located at 90 Huntington Street in Shelton. When we submitted all our applications and paperwork, we didn't submit a site plan. It's not a lot of information on it, but I like to submit it now so everybody has a copy of it. So, yeah, there's 6 of them.
So I think how this works is that if you're complete with your presentation, we'll kind of go one by one through the commissioners, and we'll see who's got questions here. So I'm going to start with Tom Sharkowitz, and take it away, Tom.
Okay, Tom Sharkowitz. Hi, thank you for your presentation. So just to clarify, as much of the slate roof as you're showing now is going to remain.
Over the sales area, that all goes.
Right.
The surface area, all that stays.
Okay.
Just the brick gets cleaned and painted to match all the new work that we're putting on. So all looks alike.
Okay. Some design things that jumped out at me. The new second floor windows along the Main Street elevation, I drew on here, but there's just that slight misalignment with the metal joints.
Yeah.
Can those be aligned?
Oh, absolutely.
I think this is,
Yeah, that
real
same thing
successful
is that,
here.
yeah.
I don't know if the windows need to be sized differently or just
When we
adjusted.
get into shop drawing, we'll make sure that stuff lines up.
Okay.
Which ones were
That's the joints for the windows on the second floor. The head and the sill, right. And then another, I'd like to get your thoughts on it. The current sign sits in the middle of a joint.
Oh, okay.
Is that intentional? Can it sit within the panel, or?
That's a good question.
I don't know if that's a branding issue or.
No, I don't think it is. I know corporate did get involved with some of the design. We had blocked it all out. They came back with their thoughts on it.
Yep.
Can we move it up so it doesn't? I'm sure we can. I don't think it affects the aesthetics that much.
Right.
But I mean, we can look into that.
Okay.
If you want it to line, you want it to be in the middle, or you want it to line up, just let us know.
Okay. Yep. Another point I had was, I know the site work that you're doing is very minimal. It looks like you're just replacing asphalt. But this being a very prominent Main Street corner, if not the most prominent Stratford Main Street corner, if there's other opportunities elsewhere on the site to refresh existing landscaping or replace existing landscaping, I think that would really help your project. And then something I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but painting the brick. I understand from an aesthetic, from a branding, they want to refresh the entire site, but there's nothing else in this part of Main Street that's painted brick. We have, Brick Town Hall, Brick Firehouse, Brick Bank across the street. We have the Brick High School. And I just wonder if that's the wrong move. But I'll let my other commissioners. I'm not sure I feel so strongly for it, but it's something that jumps out at me.
Thanks, Tom. John Zabel?
Yes, good evening. Thanks for your presentation. As Tom had indicated, one thing that jumped out at me is there's a lot of new signage proposed, and I see on the current on the building it says with backlit letters. Now, are the letters going to be lit, or is there shadow lighting from behind?
No, the current is backlit.
Okay.
Current signs up at the corner are backlit.
Okay.
The other light that you see is in the entry frames. Okay, there's another, you see a little dotted line, there's a little alcove inside that.
Yes.
That has a light. That's just to light the entrance way.
Okay.
Okay, that's all that is.
Will the logo will the Volkswagen logo be lit on it as well, or no?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Yeah, again, I really don't have a problem painting the brick, Tom. It is keeping in the white sequencing. I guess my concern would be if it's not a heavy painting. Whitewashing it, obviously, I don't think would work, so it's going to be fully painted.
And we're gonna repoint first, so, and
Sure.
power wash, repoint, and make sure. The brick is so old, I look at it and contrast it to the new look,
Sure.
and, I don't know how Tom feels about that, but, I think it'll give it a whole new look, that whole corner.
Sure.
that if we meet the old brick and the new, so I would, in my mind, I would try to build it all.
Okay, and then just echo what Commissioner Sarkowitz said about the plantings. Again, nice facade, metal, the windows, a lot of glass, just something to give it a little character, not so, certainly it's going to look a little futuristic with all the metal and such, very modern look, but something to just soften it from the street view. And I'm all set, Jamie.
Steve Law?
Vice Chairman Steve Law, thank you very much for putting together this application. Pretty comprehensive, except for just getting the site plan now. I hoped we would have seen it before the meeting, but I kind of want to echo the other commissioners' viewpoint about this being a very prominent site. And I think, I have a question actually on the parking on the Main Street side. It looks like there's street parking, then a curb, and then current parking. Correct. So if there's, as Commissioner Sarkowitz said, if there's any way to create a sense of place there, that would really benefit the town and the residents and the occupants of the building. You know, a picnic bench, somewhere to go out and sit, more landscaping in that area would benefit. Yeah, because this is, you know, I think what we need to do is integrate any of the directive or from the Complete Streets program, which is, you know, seems like there's some work going on Main Street. So I think this should be incorporated into whatever we're doing at the Complete Streets program. Landscaping, yeah, I think there's, part of that plan is to squeeze the roadway down a little bit, to slow traffic down. So it's a great opportunity to create a placemaking area. Just a couple other things. It's all white, so, you know, just echoing the painting of the brick. I don't have a problem with painting of the brick. I'm wondering if I think it may help that facade. It's more of an end.
Look at the photographs, and
It's,
I have it on my phone, but it's, you know, it needs some.
I wonder if the existing brick that's remaining is painted white, then is there an opportunity to introduce a color, maybe a band of color in the panel of the new addition? Or is it all white? We'll see what. The
If you're gonna introduce something, I think something like a gray maybe fly,
yeah.
you know, but, yeah.
There's the logo. Does the logo have any color to it? The VW logo?
Silver, gray,
Okay, so maybe there's an opportunity to introduce a silver band, just to give the new building a splash. That's all I have, Jamie.
Okay, Jamie Miller, Chairman. A couple things. I don't see any reference other than in the, you know, in the pass-through that you walk through to enter the building about any new lighting. Is there plans for new lighting on the building, in the lots, anywhere? So. Okay.
other than the entry frames,
I saw that.
okay,
I saw that.
both elevations, yes.
Okay, so then, the landscaping, and I want to sure we're talking about the same thing. So the area that says area of existing asphalt to be removed and replaced, I mean, why does that have to be asphalt? I'm not sure that's, you know, especially with that entrance there, does that really need to be asphalted? Because it would be, you know, we all know what a prominent corner this is. So that would be good. I want to weigh in on the brick. You know, it's funny, and now we're split here, because I actually think you're leaving the slate roof there, right? And so there's that old part of the building, and if that's going to stay old and slate, part of me feels like let that brick read. You know, and this is not an edict from any of us, I don't think. You know, but I think that my thought on it is that if the slate is staying, and I actually, you know, think it's kind of unfortunate that kind of that, I mean, it's not greatly done, but those little dormers, you know, kind of clad in slate on the sidewalls and everything, there's kind of a real reduction of scale there that we're losing, because that's gonna be a big two-story face. Landscaping, which you talked about, is gonna help that. But I would vote no paint on the existing brick, and I would vote for, getting a little color on those, what is now an unbroken, and, if you read our regulation, we talk a lot about articulation of facades, especially, here we are on Main Street, Barnum Avenue, crossroads of Stratford, and we're gonna have a building there that's, I get the whole, that space age kind of look to it, but it's, considering its context of, we've referenced the buildings, directly around it, and the new buildings that have been done, whether it's the high school and then refurbishment of multiple buildings in the area. I would look at least introducing color there in the main building, to help at least try and break that facade up a little bit.
You know what, there's a lot of glass on the ground floor, mostly glass.
Yep.
Some piers, okay? And then the siding really happened from the second floor up to the third.
Right.
And there's a lot of glass there. So, I mean, if we, breaking it up, I don't know how we would think about that, but I mean, if we were to add maybe a band of gray,
I mean, it could be in line with the second floor windows. It almost lines up, and there's a little flat roof on that side. Maybe, I'm not familiar enough with the design, but there's a way to kind of pull that together just to help break down the scale a little bit more. Other than that, I don't have any further comment. Anything else you'd like to present, or?
no, I think we have a good feel of what you're looking for and what we would like too. So the landscaping, and the color to it, that pass it by corporate, tell them that this is what we'd like to do. Zoning, the architectural review board would like something in the town. So yeah, we can work. We'll work.
Okay. All right, so that being said, John?
I just have one quick question, because I was flipping through some stuff as people were talking again. I noticed one of the renderings shows vehicles out front, parked on, not grass, but on platforms, on. Yeah, I mean, is that that definitely adds some character, I think, to the front, and that's common at dealerships. I mean, you drive around now and they have their high-end models kind of positioned out front, and that certainly breaks up.
Well, it's a good sales area, okay? Because I think we will do that, whether if it's not the asphalt and wooden brick, and that's a sales area. So, for display, it's a display area, that's display.
Okay, I'm just thinking to break up the facade of the building by having like those static vehicles parked there a lot. I know.
Having them on platforms turns them almost into street art.
That's what I'm saying. Is that planned? Because I don't see it here. I just see the parking, and I see repaving. It just definitely adds some character. That image there just really pops. I mean, the way it's lit, the cars prominently displayed. So I don't know if any of the other commissioners have any comment about that. I just happen to see it.
Yeah.
That's why we paved in front of that.
Excuse me,
It
can you identify, you need to identify yourself first.
I'm
and then
sorry,
you,
I'm
yeah,
Chris Curran. I'm the owner.
Recognize them from the commercial.
The reason that there's pavement in front of the showroom on Main Street is because it used to be grass, but we had such a hard time with space. We had to park cars in front of there because we didn't have any. We've expanded now, so that's not an issue. But the reason that it's asphalt is because we do have cars. But I like that idea as well. Maybe elevate it and put, maybe elevate it a few feet and then make a ramp and, that we could do easily.
Question also, on that same rendering, on the left-hand side, there seems to be like a portico or something that's proud of the building line? Is that close, that's close to the street line? Is that reality, or?
That's part of the corporate design.
Yeah, so, but your
That's
plan
not
doesn't.
part of our deal.
Okay,
They want me to buy one of them. Nice to submit this, to give you an idea of what the entrance frame would look like. Okay, that was the reason for this. And basically, you know, the white frame design concept, that's what this is really all about. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a nice display area for the vehicles, absolutely. We can elevate them up a little bit, show them off.
And, Tom?
I just have one more question. Curran owns the lot across Main Street
Yes.
as well, and you guys installed that brick wall, the
Yes.
site wall. Will that also be painted?
That wasn't part of the plan. I
Okay.
mean, but it could be. I mean,
I'd like to keep it brick and not painted.
okay,
Um,
yeah.
Just to keep that side of the street reading the same.
It's the corporate brand is pushing the paint, not me. I mean, it, yeah.
Okay, so, if there's no further questions or comments from the commissioners, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for a favorable recommendation based on the following bullet points. Number one, align second floor windows with metal panel joints along the Main Street and left side elevations. Align the current sign with metal joints on the Barnum Avenue and Main Street elevations. Enhance landscaping by refreshing or replacing existing landscaping across the entire site to mitigate large amount of asphalt paving. Incorporate benches or other placemaking elements on site. Consider including a brand-approved color band on exterior to try breaking up the white mass of the building to reduce its scale. And consider reducing asphalt of replacement area in lieu of landscaping or include platforms for display vehicles as shown in conceptual renderings.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion as read.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion unanimous. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda. Number 10, Research Drive. Review a petition to the zoning commission by petitioner 10 Research LLC for constructing a 30,000, excuse me, 797 square foot new manufacturing facility for Cube Tech at the subject site.
How's that? Is that okay? Okay. All right, good evening. I'm Michael Cormier from Pat Munger Construction. I'm here representing Godfrey Goffman, who did the original submission, and also Dell Simmons, project architect. As mentioned, we have a new 30,000 square foot building for the Cub Tech company, currently in Stratford. Their existing headquarters is at 111 Research Drive. So this new building location will be almost directly across the street from there.
Hello? Yeah. It won't be heard in the video.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, as I mentioned, the Cuptech's current facility at 111 Research Drive is almost directly across the street from this new location. This is designed as a 3-story metal building, as mentioned, approximately 30,000 square feet total, close to 10,000 square feet per floor. First floor area is some production space and equipment testing space for their finished equipment, storage, and then shipping and receiving. Second floor is more production space and employee offices. And then third floor, sales offices, some small meeting areas, and reserved for more future development. The aesthetic for the building is based on form follows function. The interior space is determined by analysis of the efficient workflow. Interior natural lighting with windows have been sized and located appropriately based on solar orientation. The simple exterior materials have been utilized for budget and constructability, while also a very close aesthetic to their current building. Same thing as the colors, the light gray and dark gray color scheme with the CubTech medium blue there to match their existing facility. And then emphasis on the CubTech branding signage at the main entry with a small overhang canopy. The exterior envelope of the building, I don't believe you guys have this running here, so I can show you this. I was gonna say.
Black and whites of it, and that certainly adds a different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see the 3D.
Okay, yeah, I can certainly pass this around or hold it up, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever's easy. Okay. Sorry, no, some more copies.
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
I would need it for my file, I don't
Okay.
have the 3D.
Okay, yeah, I can leave you all these copies here and send them to you as well. All right, so as I was saying, the public sides of the building, we'll say the northwest and east elevations are all going to be an insulated metal panel, which is also a similar, like I said, a similar look to their existing facility. The rear side, south facing, which is facing the kind of marshy area there, will just be a conventional metal siding, reverse panel rib. I also have, let me pass these around as well. I have a couple of photos of their existing building, just to show for comparison. And then going up to the roof, which I don't think you guys had a roof plan originally, just an EPDM rubber roof with plans for a future solar array as well. And they, at the main entry here, the overhang is just a small amount of, will either be a stow, EFIS combination, or possibly just a metal panel similar to the rest of the building. I can also go through the rest of the floor plans here if needed, or I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar already. But. Very similar, yes. Yep, very similar. There's a couple of catalog pages that I include there as well. It's the architectural thermoclad product there, is the insulated panel. And then the reverse panel rib will be that south elevation there. That's more of a conventional metal siding there. The colors to be in that catalog as well. That darker gray color is that zinc gray that's called out on there. And the lighter gray is a Arctic white, which is a very light gray kind of color.
Jamie, a question for do you mind if I circle them on here? So,
John, go ahead.
okay. What were they again? I just want to make sure.
It's the cool zinc gray, which is a darker gray,
Okay. Yep.
and then the cool Arctic white.
So cool zinc gray is this one. Looks almost like a green.
This one right here.
Oh, this one.
Yep. I think that's just the way it printed out there. Or somewhere there was a different catalog that had a
Yeah, it's
better
this
color
guy right.
representation. They're the same colors offered by Barco in there.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then the white, the cool Arctic white.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. That's about all I have right now, unless, I mean, I can flip through each floor plan, or I believe
No, I
everybody's
don't,
familiar
that's
already.
necessary. You know, you might want to address, maybe before we ask questions, any of the site planning issues. I see you have a landscape plan, you might want to address that a little bit, and any lighting.
Yeah, so we do show on the elevations, some building lighting, a few fixtures along the north elevation and east elevation, which those are shown on the site photometric as well. As far as landscaping, it's very limited to the site. It's a pretty tight site as is. There's some trees along the roadside there. There's some retention swales along the road as well. But again, very minimal space for shrubs. That they filled it in as much as possible. But building lighting and site lighting, as mentioned, we have wall pack fixtures on the building itself, and then a couple of street lamps placed around the site as well.
You all set?
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so, as the norm, we're gonna go around the room, so this time we're gonna, start with John Zabel. John, any questions?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for your presentation and offering a bit of clarity on a few things that weren't in our packet. Couple things I had noticed, and now it was clarified by the color rendering, but is there a way to better break up the color scheme? I mean, it seems, that's the existing building, but on the current one, it seems somewhat randomized in some areas. I don't know if you have the main three-dimensional one, Jamie, if we could hold that up, or, yeah. Yeah, it just seems like that, I'm trying to understand the gray areas there, where one's wider than the other. I mean, can they be extended along the whole facade there? I'm not quite sure what the intent was with.
I believe the aesthetic was they have, the existing building has, I don't know if that picture shows it, but the masonry has similar, a window, kind of like an upside-down U window to that. So I think he was trying to follow that same.
Now, is that part of the building going to protrude like this one does?
No.
Because that definitely changes things,
Yep.
the massing of the building. But yeah, it's not like that. There's no step. It's just
No, that's all
straight,
flat. Correct. Yeah.
flat facade. So that's something, again, I'd be interested what the other commissioners have to say, but certainly it doesn't appear that is laid out to break anything up. I understand the intent to try to copy what's across the street, but certain there's all sorts of different facades on that building across the
Yeah.
street that don't exist here. Are there any rooftop units? I know you talked about the potential for a solar array, and that's certainly, I appreciate the use of that, but is it going to be fully visible from the street? It is a pretty tall building, but
Yeah. So the solar array, more than likely, you wouldn't see from the street. I'm not sure if you have the latest set here that was updated within the last couple of days here, but there will be definitely rooftop units on the building as well. It's really early preliminary at this point, but we're expecting at least 3 to 4.
is there any way to screen those visually? Is there going to be a parapet, or?
We didn't think it was necessary, only because of the height of the building, and their existing building, which is actually a lower size building, they have rooftop units as well, and they're not screened, so you also can't really see those from the road.
Okay. That's always a concern of ours, certainly based on sight lines, if they're not seen, if they're set far enough back.
Yep.
But that's just something to consider. And the last thing on the site plan, I guess, that had stuck out to me, it was the location of the trash receptacles and the transformer prominent on your first sight line of the building as you're coming up Research Drive. I'm just wondering if that could be relocated somewhere to the rear of the lot, and a couple parking spaces exchanged to accommodate that.
We can certainly take a look at that. I do know, that, as mentioned before, there's a very tight site for what they're trying to squeeze in here. I believe they already are talking about is also borders the wetlands. It's very close to that area, so it'd be difficult to squeeze that in there. We could definitely take a look at that. But
Yeah, I was going left to right, my eyes on the site plan, that was kind of the first thing that had jumped out to me was that enclosure, and I said, whoa, okay, that's,
yeah, and again, I know they're concerned about losing more parking spaces. I think we're down to 25 at this time.
yeah, I think, I was just talking about a possible replacement, because you do have quite a few spots in the back of the lot there, and I do see that your loading area is there, so I imagine that's why those were put there. I just wonder if there's anything that could be possibly changed when it comes to the location. Other than that, I'm all set for now, Jamie.
Steve Law?
Yeah, Vice Chairman Steve Law. I just want to echo Commissioner Zabel's comment about the trash and the transformer, because as you come on in Research Drive, it seems to be like the main vista to the building, and the loading dock and the trash are right there. So if there's a way to get that on the opposite corner, that would be a benefit. Now that we have the rendering, I understand the rhythm of the windows a little bit. When I first saw the black and white, I was thinking this kind of the same thing, that it seemed very random. And we were talking about the facade planes, if there's any way to provide a little relief on the planes to emulate the existing building, I think that would benefit the project as well. The roof profile, I get the architectural match. You're trying to match the existing building. I think that profile, if it could be a little deeper and maybe project a little further than what's shown in the rendering. Jamie, do you have that, one of that
I
rendering?
believe it was a 4-foot overhang, I believe.
Yeah, or maybe just project it over over a corner, or project it over the entry corner in bigger extension than the main profile. I think that would help bring it, tie it together with the existing building.
Yeah, like this is the existing.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Oh, was there a mezzanine? I saw a note about a mezzanine in the plan. That's, okay.
No, it's all a finished third floor.
There seems to be like a little cantilevered area over the loading dock. And that, I think it's the northwest corner of the building?
Correct, and that was strictly for the purpose of just being able to get longer trailers in that area.
Yeah, and again, that column, it looks pretty spindly. I wonder if making that a little beefier would help a little bit.
Yep.
There may be a little bit of a circulation problem because there's a sidewalk right there, I think. Is it, right? Is there a sidewalk along that loading dock?
Yes, there is an egress walkway along that side of the building there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. Ideally, that column wants to be a little beefier, not just that's a pre-engineered metal building?
It's in between right now. More than likely, it's gonna go to structural.
Okay.
With Parker Pruden, pre-engineered components.
Yeah.
Siding, roofing, all that stuff, but
If you-
more than likely, it's gonna be a structural building.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way to make that column bigger without sacrificing that circulation around that sidewalk.
Yeah. We're offering, I don't know if just a bollard protection there would
Yeah.
be sufficient too, but.
That's all I have, Jamie.
Tom Sharkowitz?
Commissioner Sharkowitz. I actually like the landscaping. It's not often we see, this type of landscaping, especially in an industrial site. The plants you picked are appropriate and actually, jazz up Research Drive a bit. One question I had, though, is the disparity of the elevations presented with the panel lines versus the rendering. The elevation makes them look very small, the rendering has them very large. Which one is it?
Should be the wider 3-foot panels there. Let me pass this around as well. I believe what happened there, so originally I believe the first drawings that you guys have are the, when everything was a conventional metal panel siding. This was just changed Monday afternoon to an insulated panel, so that I believe you don't have the updated set there, so I can leave these copies here and then also submit those as well.
Okay. Something I don't know if you caught in the current presentation is aligning windows with joints. I think you have a really successful rhythm of the metal panels going across your elevations, but the windows sort of break it up when they intersect the joints.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if there was possibility to align things a bit better.
We probably can shift those one way or the other slightly. I think with this panel as well, the joints aren't as prevalent as they appear on here. You know,
Okay.
in reality, I don't think they're as pronounced as they show.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
we certainly
it's
can.
not like this.
Nah, not quite. No.
Okay.
No. I think one of the brochures I left on there with the thermoclad panel has a few photos that shows that, but those joints aren't as wide as their existing building there. But I would think we could more than likely shift the windows one way or another slightly to try to align with those either way.
Okay, I'd like to, recommend where possible.
Okay.
Just aligning things. I think it's gonna make give your building a lot more clarity.
Mhm.
That's all I got, Jamie.
Okay, Jamie Millward, Chairman. So I want to understand, I get it, it's, these color renderings make it so much easier to understand what's happening, but in addition to the alignment of, which I think what Tom was referring to is the alignment of windows with joints, and where here, you got a joint kind of going halfway into the window, and can we clean all that up? But also, and I'm looking at, and I understand this is maybe kind of the corporate building, and this is subsidiary, but it looks to me, and can't hold this, but it looks like over here, it's a masonry building, but you also don't have windows maybe that align, because it bothers me some. I'm not sure what drove kind of the longer horizontal windows here, and they don't have anything to do with the layout of the windows above. I mean, so I think fenestration-wise, all that could be kind of looked at a little more carefully to get things to both having make some sense from what's above to below, because there's some different textures going on here and some banding that I think if they don't align in the existing building, I think it's probably a little more successful than it would be here. So that's one comment. And then secondly, I get, you're trying to address some kind of corner entrance, and I know this is not something necessarily you'd be able or consider doing, but, this is, pretty successful. And I'm wondering, the curtain wall system that they have in there, is there any way to tie this in even stronger and kind of looking at this corner, in that way to give a little more feel this rather than just all of the metal panels and punched windows? I mean, you have groupings of them, but is there a way to kind of tie that back in to a curtain wall system and bring that glass down and, treat this whole corner? Yeah, I mean, you start to do it. You brought this forward. You have a lot of glass. You don't have individual openings, you have multiple, so.
I believe that actually was part of the original scheme there, but they all wanted to dial that back somewhat to not put too much emphasis on that building, because that's their, like I said, across the street is their headquarters, so they.
I hear you, so there's a balance, I get there, but
Yeah.
we're not talking, obviously, there's a lot more going on in this building than in this one, no matter
Correct.
what you do. And so having that little piece, I think, speak to it a little more, in my opinion, I think would be, make the whole complex be more successful for the company. That would be.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really all that's all I have.
Okay. I do have one comment on the horizontal windows too. I believe those were spun because they do have plantings for racking along those walls. Just so, to not have the windows blocked by the racking, the material stored on top of them, they decided to spin those horizontally to not have that racking block the windows and allow more light in.
Fair enough, I mean, but, okay, I mean, they could be just, they don't even have to be that big, maybe. I don't know, because maybe they're the same width as what's above, but just not as tall, and, you get some alignment. But I'm not dictating it, I'm just saying I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other items you'd like to present? Are you all set?
I'm all set. I'm good.
Any
Thank
other
you.
comments or questions from the commissioners?
Just one more. The signage on the entryway, it's shown as the cool Arctic white here, but on that rendering, I think it's shown as the gray, right? No? Okay, I guess there's a band below it. Okay. But are those the same color? I can't
It's
see.
what, the same color?
So the band,
This?
yep,
I think
and
it's just
under.
shadow, those are shadow lines.
Correct,
I think
yep.
it's the shadow, so I think it's the same color.
Okay,
Yep, correct.
all right, so it is the same. Okay.
All right, any other comments from commissioners? All right, is there a motion?
I'd like to put forth a favorable motion based on the following points. Rooftop units shall be set back as to not be seen, or screening shall be implemented. In regards to the trash and transformer, consider shifting location if possible, or enhance trash enclosure material or landscaping to mitigate views. Consider enhancing roof eave, fenestration, or material at main entrance to relate to existing Cubtech building. Consider increasing scale of column at the loading dock to visually carry the mass more appropriately, and consider aligning windows with panel joints where possible to create visual harmony.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimously carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Would you like me to leave these behind here, these copies?
Yes, Smith will keep those.
Okay.
Oh, pass this. Here, Smith, this is for you too then. Oh, wait, Smith, this too.
How are you, gentlemen?
All right, next on the agenda, 200 East Main Street, Starbucks. Review of petition of the zoning commission by petitioner Regency Centers Corporation to modify the previously approved 2018 proposed Starbucks restaurant, excuse me, 2,403 square feet at the subject site to conform to post-COVID drive-through restaurant demands.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, Mr. Chairman. My name is Barry Knott. I'm a lawyer with the firm of Knott, and Dunn with offices at 1656 Main Street, Stratford. I'm here this evening on behalf of Regency Centers Corporation of 321 Railroad Avenue, Greenwich, Connecticut. In attendance with me tonight is Mr. Andrew Albrecht, Senior Project Manager for Regency Centers, Mr. Stefan Rapaglia, a consultant for Regency Centers, Mr. Robert Aiello, an engineer at JMC Site Development Consultants, and Mr. Joseph Seapot, an architect at Joseph Seapot Architects. You will hear from them in a few minutes, and they will be available to answer any questions you may have regarding our proposal. Now, you'll notice that the application is in the name of Regency Centers Corporation. I want to explain the advent of Regency, because historically this property, Dock Shopping Center, had been owned by Erstad Biddle Properties. And the many times that I've been here and before the zoning commissions and over the last 20 years, I was here representing Erstad Biddle. Until earlier this year, and for many decades, the dock had been owned by Erstad Biddle, which was a publicly traded real estate investment trust, REIT. Earlier this year, Erstad Biddle was acquired by Regency, which is also a publicly traded REIT, which is 11 times the size of Erstad Biddle, owning over 400 properties in the United States, which are mostly open-air retail centers similar to the dock, with a major anchor tenant, one or two major anchor tenants. Before we get into the substance of tonight's presentation, I think it would be a good idea for me to give you an outline of the historical and chronological approvals already received from the Stratford Zoning Commission, the ARB, the Stratford Harbor Management Commission, the Waterfront, and the State of Connecticut DEEP. Included in your package is a global site plan of the Dock Shopping Center, sheet C 0.1, and this is the global site plan. You can see from this exhibit how the properties which are the subject to this application juxtapose with the balance of the Dock Shopping Center. I'm talking about this little corner of the Dock Shopping Center down here. And you will notice immediately to the right of the proposed Starbucks location is I-95, which bisects the Dock Shopping Center and separates it into two parcels, one of which is known as Railside, next to the railroad tracks, and the other of which is known as Dockside, which is the parcel upon which the BJ's, Edge Fitness, Joey C's Restaurant, and the marina are located. In 2019, Erstad Biddle received special case ARB, CAM, Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission approvals to allow for the construction of a 130,000 square foot self-storage facility, a 2,000 square foot Starbucks with a drive-through, and a 2,460 square foot Chipotle restaurant, also with a drive-through. In addition, there was an 800 square foot retail space, all of which was pursuant to section 7.1.7.1 of the zoning regulations, and all of these were permitted uses in this location. However, Starbucks could not be constructed at the time of approval because there was a large advertising sign owned by Barrett Sign Company, which needed to be removed from the proposed Starbucks parking lot to another location on the property. This commercial sign was huge. It was located right where the Starbucks parking lot was going to be, and we couldn't build Starbucks until we moved the sign. We got permission from the Zoning Commission to move the sign. However, the sign also contained many mobile phone reception locations at the top of the sign. And in order to move the mobile phone reception centers, we needed approval from the State of Connecticut Siting Council. And that is a hassle, okay? So the relocation of the sign prohibited the ability to build the Starbucks. So it's now 4 years later and the Starbucks hasn't been constructed, okay? In addition to your approval tonight, we need ZBA, Zoning Commission approval, CAM approval, Erosion and Sediment Control approval, Harbor Management Waterfront approval, and State of Connecticut DEEP approval. None of which we have applied for yet, but we are going to be applying for all of those approvals later this month. Reference sheets C 1.0 and C 1.1, excuse me, which are the layout plans showing the modification of the proposed Starbucks facility. You will see from these plans that Starbucks is increasing the size of the restaurant from 2,000 square feet to 2,406 square feet. However, the most significant change from the previously approved Starbucks is the modification of the drive-through lanes. Under the previous approval, there was one drive-through lane with queuing for 6 cars. Under this plan, there are 2 drive-through lanes with queuing for 14 cars. Now, why is that? Starbucks is continually evolving its drive-through restaurant facility operations. They've got over 1,000 locations in the United States. The old plan with 6 cars in the queue worked for all of the Starbucks pre-COVID, okay? And COVID was changed the way fast food with drive-through operations all over the United States operated. Then many, if not more, customers entered the store in order to order product, then went through the drive-through. Drive-through accounted for 35 to 40% of the gross business in one of these restaurants. Now it represents between 55 and 60%, okay? As a result of COVID, that's all changed. Now customers prefer accessing Starbucks products through the drive-through windows. This requires longer queuing lines. This is true all over the United States. As a result of this substantial change, Starbucks has modified its business plan and facility site plans to accommodate this new customer preference. The application that you have before you tonight is a result of that customer accommodation. This time I want to introduce Rob Iola from JMC, the site engineer, who will explain the changes requested by Starbucks as reflected in the sheets that I had referenced. Rob.
Thank you, Barry. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, members of staff. Rob Aiello with JMC, civil engineers and landscape architects for the project. So as Mr. Knott had mentioned, the major change from the prior approved plan really relates to the configuration and design of the drive-through area. So just in terms of orientation, here's East Main Street, the existing Chipotle, the self-storage facility located in the back. So the building and the parking are really in the same location as the originally approved site plan, but now this drive-through and this portion coming around the building is different. The prior plan had parking that went along the frontage of East Main Street, and that's been eliminated. So as a matter of modifying the plan, you can see there's a significant amount of green space. We've actually increased our green space from the prior plan by about 1,500 square feet and gave us some different opportunities for landscaping, and we'll take you through that in a moment from our landscaping plan. But with regard to the actual layout of the plan, there are a couple different elements. So, we have the drive-through that we spoke about with the 2 lanes which funnel into one, but the actual pickup window is located on the back side of the building now, where before it was on the long side of the building here. So that, shields the view of the actual pickup window and also provides for additional queuing. The prior plan also did have some outdoor seating, but this plan actually modifies it to become covered outdoor seating. So there'll be actually a canopy, and this is our landscaping plan. This is the same drawing that we submitted, but it has some color just to kind of help you see the different elements of the plan. So as I mentioned, this area here is an outdoor seating area, about 500 square feet. This is the front door and the pickup window, and some of the service entrances in the back. And this will have a black steel or aluminum picket fence kind of going around the perimeter with landscaping around it to create a sense of place as you're sitting in the dining facility and enjoying your coffee. In terms of the landscaping, so when we originally did Chipotle, we had an alley of trees, a street line of trees that were continuing along the frontage. And also there's a street line of trees as you're coming in, honey locust trees here on the left-hand side, and we're continuing that, and it'll be on both sides of the street. In between the trees along East Main Street, we'll have a variety of perennials and grasses to provide some color and some texture and some variation of height along the frontage to dress up the frontage. And then as you go past the drive-through, and we have the green space here, there's some shadblow serviceberry flowering trees, some lilac here to create a pleasant aroma as you're using the outdoor seating area, as well as a variety of different ground covers and grasses to provide for color and texture. So all of the species that we've picked are intended to be salt tolerant, given it's a parking lot. As they're perennials, they'll be cut down in the wintertime. There'll be snow stored on them, and then they'll come back in the spring. Lastly, we do have a pedestrian connection out to the existing sidewalk along the frontage with some treatment and some landscaping to kind of identify the entry and also beautify the entry as you come in and can enter into the Starbucks if you're walking along the street and want to come in. What else? In terms of trash enclosure, our dumpster, that's actually located here at the end of the parking area for the self-storage. So there'll be a CMU enclosure, and there'll also be a black metal privacy fence, corrugated metal fence, and those colors will be correlated and coordinated with the materials for the building.
And at this time, I want to introduce Mr. Joseph Seapot, who is the architect for this project. He will discuss the architectural components. He also has some materials to hand out to you. You want to give me those? And I can, yes. I can take them around.
Hi, my name is Joe Seapot, Joseph Seapot Architect, Branford, Connecticut. So I'm here to show you Starbucks' new concept and branding for what we're proposing here today. As you can see, it's a little bit different than what you've seen before, but this is, I believe, it's going to be the first one in the state. It's a concept of the black brick with the gray vertical siding here, accent, and then the wood over there, the wood color, is going to be the underside of the canopy. So basically we have a 2,406 square foot building. Inside the building we have our seating area, we have our work area, which is since the kitchen, we have coffee bar, back bar area, and we have our drive-through bump out over here. On the exterior of the building, we have the black brick with the windows being a black anodized aluminum. Overhead canopy, give it some depth and proportion. And then we have a screening area above for the mechanical units up on the roof. The building itself is 18 feet tall with a 4-foot high screening element on top. Some lighting elements, we have our signage, marketing signage over here, drive through the Starbucks. Underneath the canopy will be 3-inch recessed can fixtures. Here our main entry coming in, and then the glass area over here is the seating area. So that's a short description of what we're proposing here. And if you see the material, the brick itself is going to be a thin brick, and then the woods are actually pine. They're thermally modified pine, which is a very interesting product. It's the first I've seen of this. I've used it before in decking material, but I've never in a siding. So that's the concept they're going with. This is their Scheme B for their STB-B model building, which is what this is here.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation. We're available to answer questions. Don't go too far, Joe.
Okay. Steve Law?
Steve Law, Vice Chairman, thank you very much for putting this package together for us. As you said, Barry, we've seen this once before, years ago, and my first reaction when I saw the package was, why are we looking at it again? I think we gave a good recommendation last time. So I've only had a couple points, I guess. I think the architecture is fine. I know the branding is very specific about what they put together, so, and I don't have any aesthetic concerns with what's being shown. There was a mention of a future walk-in cooler pad on the south side there, I believe. I'm not sure where I saw that, but
Yeah, it's on
is that,
C11.
what's the likelihood of them putting a cooler in the future? It would be unfortunate if that showed up right there. Is there another location for that?
C 1.1, it shows it.
Yeah, southwest, it's actually shown right there.
Yeah.
Landscape plan, that
Yeah.
pad right there.
Walk-in cooler right there?
Is it going to go there?
You know, I'm not sure, do you know anything about that? No. That was on their prototypical drawings. If it does go in, we do have screening that's shown around it. so it would be screened from view, if that was indeed needed. That was part of their prototypical drawings, that cooler box. But we do have screening around it proposed, and we can certainly, make sure once it's up, that it's adequately screened, so you really
Right, and
can
there's
see it.
probably a compressor unit on the top of that thing too, which may want to be screened, right? So that is one concern I have. I guess the other was the roof access. And again, I don't know if I saw it on these specific plans, but I saw it on the Starbucks. Is there access to the roof via a ladder?
There's a interior ladder going up to a roof hatch.
Okay, nothing on the exterior.
No, so all you'll see is or you won't see, but there'll be like a 6 to 8 inch curve
Yeah.
for a roof hatch.
Let me just see. That's basically my comments, Jamie.
Thanks, Steve. Tom Sharkowitz?
I want to
Oh.
thank you.
I'll come back. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to thank you for this proposal. I live 1 minute up the road from this. I drive by this site every single day, and I always questioned why the Starbucks we approved never went in. And the site, as it is today, looks like hell. And I think, considering that little commercial center around, this is going to be the nicest thing in that area. I think the landscaping is fantastic. You knocked it out of the park. The comments about, screening, the lilac around the crosswalk for, nicer smells. This is great. This is everything we wanted to see, or at least I wanted to see in a proposal. Something I do want to ask about is the outdoor railing for the dining area. I remember we approved a Starbucks up by Sikorsky, and we asked for a little bit more artistic detailing, and they were able to give us, like a sort of a leaf pattern in that railing, and I wondered if that's possible here. Not the same pattern, but something a little interesting and unique. Sure, okay, consider. And then just two questions I have that are sort of related. Where's the billboard going if it's not there?
I'll tell you where it's going. All the way to the back of the site, near Joey C's restaurant, but all the way over in the corner by the railroad tracks.
Still dockside?
Yeah, it's still at the dock site, but it's going way back in the corner where you can't see it.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be a sign anymore. It's just going to be a cell tower. So we didn't need to have visibility to I-95.
Maybe I can help clarify.
Andy Albrecht.
Andy Albrecht with Regency Centers. About 2 years ago, when we first built the Chipotle and the storage, the billboard aspect of that tower was relocated to the north end of the existing ESS storage building on this will be the rail side of the Stop and Shop parcel. The cell tower component had to remain on the billboard until the siting council approved the new cell tower location, which is, as Barry described, backside Joey C's. That component, once that tower is built, the old billboard and all those cell towers come off of there, and we can build the Starbucks.
Thanks.
Don't go too far. I have one more thing. As someone who drives by this every single day and looks at it every single day, something I really appreciate is the trash enclosure facing away from the road from East Main Street. It's something that the current Chipotle doesn't have. That faces East Main Street, and those doors on that trash enclosure are rarely closed. So it's a display of, trash. I wonder if that can be brought to attention. I don't know what the...
We're happy to put them on notice, give them
Great.
a little formal letter,
Great.
telling them they need to shape that up. That's not a problem.
Perfect. That concludes my comments.
John Zabel?
Yeah, again, thank you for a thorough presentation. Thank you, Barry, I guess, for I think it would be you, seeing as that we had already voted on this, and I'm sure we had some stipulations because it's very rarely that we don't. It seems so many of those, like Tom said, the trash enclosure, the second I opened up this plan and I saw it back there, I literally started to applaud because it's one of those things. It's very important. I think the rest of this plaza, again, the currently developed is very successful as is and is appealing looking. I often frequent going into BJ's and the like and stop and get food there, so it works really well, and what you've done here is excellent. I think, right down to the landscaping that Tom had indicated, the lighting and everything. The one thing I did see is there's, and this jumped out because it's there, existing 6-foot-high chain link fence with top tension wire. Is that gonna remain? Because, again, you have all these beautiful site elements, sidewalks, patios, and the like. It's on C11 again. And I think it's still shown over there in between, even on that rendering, in between those bushes along the right side.
If it's along the 95, that is state DOT mandated, and we have to maintain that.
Does it have to be a? Oh, I have no problem with maintaining a fence. I'm just saying a chain link. Can we go with something more aesthetic, because that will be visible from the drive-through area. That
chain link fence already currently exists?
Yeah, it's small though. No, it doesn't even go all the way down there. The one I'm looking at in this rendering starts about at yeah, if you could go to C11, it's clear. It looks like it's only a partial fence too. I think it might have been for a view shed before, like when the house and the gas station were still there. Yeah, and it's on your property, and then it hooks weirdly into the interior of the lot.
Jamie, can I talk?
Oh, that's the retaining wall. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong arrow. Okay, so the fence is on DOT.
It's existing, that's
Property,
state
unfortunately.
mandated, that's state property that we have to keep.
Okay.
unfortunately.
What we've done, landscaping, we have put some deciduous trees and some evergreens.
Okay. Because again, property lines aren't visible to the general public utilizing the,
Yeah, we do have
utilizing the
deciduous-
property.
So these are evergreens, the 6, 3, and 3, and these are deciduous trees. That will help to diminish the look of that fence.
Sure. Okay, so I will comment on the retaining wall. What is the retaining wall going to be constructed of? Is there a significant elevation change there? Is that,
So,
did I miss it?
if I may
Just
talk.
me, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that the town of Stratford zoning regulations do not allow chain link fences. So if they're doing anything with the site there, I'm pretty sure that, that chain link fence has to come down. And
Yeah, but it's on DOT property. They
No.
just,
It's a DOT.
I was,
So it's not maintained, or it's not by you at all? No?
We are not supposed to do anything with
Not
the
supposed to
fence.
do? Okay.
It was required that it was installed there as to keep people from going up the approach to the 95.
Okay.
But we aren't installing any chain link fence on our property.
yeah, that was,
Okay.
that was my oversight. I was pointing at the wrong thing.
I don't like it any more than the town of Stratford, but
Is there detail for the,
Retaining wall is about a foot or 2 high.
okay,
It will be higher on the Starbucks side. We have, in order to bring the drive-through around, we do have some grade change here.
Okay.
So we just had to pick up the grade. So this will only be about 1 or 2 foot high. It'll be a segmental retaining wall.
Okay.
But the face of it will be facing the right of way, not into the site. So you
oh,
can-
okay, all right, sure.
It's high on this side and low on this side.
so you'll
Okay.
see about maybe a foot reveal on the Starbucks side.
Okay. Yeah, that's, again, those are it was that and the chain link fence that had jumped out at me. I guess the one thing is the CMU enclosure, try to blend that in. Again, like I said, I appreciate it. You'll be able to see the backside possibly. And what's the material for the doors of the,
Starbucks uses it's called a corrugated metal. So
Okay.
it looks like corrugated metal, but the finish of it is intended to match the roof projections that come out.
okay,
So it'll be the same color and finish as that. Regarding the CMU, we do have screening around the back of this also.
okay.
So even
Just to try to blend it in, like I said, you got a lot of nice stuff going on. The last question, I guess, for the architect would be, we've reviewed, I think this is our 3rd Starbucks now, this on a repeat. is there still a pallet available? That's the one concern I had. I know we spent hours with Barry when Knott's Landing was in its infancy, and there was a concern about having stuff jump out. Again, this is a much smaller footprint than the storage facility, for sure, and that color works great, I think, to this day. Is there a color palette available, or is this kind of their new, I drive by them all the time, and they're ever-changing,
They are
so I guess this is what they've settled on?
This is the one they've asked us to proceed with.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just had a little concern about the darker shades there, because all the other buildings, we had asked you guys to go a soft gray, and now we're looking at this, which is a little bit darker, and I don't want it to just all of a sudden jump out in that plaza.
I think it kind of has a timeless look, though. It's one of those looks that isn't going to go in, you know, out of style, so to speak. I think it's a really classy look.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you. I'm all set.
All right, Jamie Miller, Chairman. One question I have. Did I understand this right? Because the architectural drawings don't show it this way. There is that patio area on the East Main Street side is fully covered by a roof. And therefore, the architectural plans, I don't think, show columns, but the site plans, I noticed, do show columns. And so is that, what are we looking at there? I assume the underside is this,
That's the underside of the
fumigated
canopy
pine?
system.
Yep.
Yes. Where's their standard drawing? I was just looking at it. Next page.
Yeah.
Here's the front door, and there's the seating area, so there's the fence. Here's the projection of the
Got it.
element, the covered area, and there are some columns coming through there.
Okay, I get it, 'cause, that's generic kind of, right? But
Yes.
But in specific,
It
it's
didn't get
not
picked up on
shown.
here, it came a little bit later.
Okay,
that we
but
found
that'll
out.
be, that's the kind of the look that
Yes,
we're.
that's the
Yeah,
look.
okay,
And this is the view from East Main Street.
right.
Yeah, I think it's a great look.
Okay, I have no further comments. Is there anyone else, any other comments? Steve, you had a
Yeah.
thought?
Light poles, did I see 25-foot light poles?
Yeah, they will match the existing ones that are there.
The existing on Chipotle is 25 feet?
Yes, they are.
All right.
Any other comments? Do we have a motion?
Jamie, I have a comment. The drawings that are shown there, I don't believe I have the same colored ones in my set.
They're the same drawings, we just put color on them for.
Can you share those with me for my file?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, so maybe Barry can drop it off tomorrow or something.
I can actually unclip these and leave them for you today.
Yeah, if you can fold and give it to me,
Sure.
that'll be great. Thank you. Yeah, the renderings are good too.
That's
Tom?
can I send that as a PDF? Or do you want, I'll get you hard.
I need a hard copy for the
I'll get you
office
hard
file.
copy. It's mounted to the board, so
So you can give those to me tomorrow, like you can fold and send them to me tomorrow.
can I just leave the board with you?
I need somebody to fold and give it.
Okay, yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
Yes. I would like to put forth a favorable motion, including the following bullet points. Consider an artistic railing option to make, to the outdoor dining area to make this a unique location for this site. Coordinate the CMU at trash enclosure and retaining walls with proposed materials and colors. And the outdoor dining canopy shall align with what's shown in the conceptual renderings.
All right, all in favor? Or is there a second, excuse me, is there a second?
I'll second.
John DeBelle, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay.
saying anything.
Okay, next on the agenda, 500 Sniffens Lane. Review a petition to the zoning commission by petitioner The Landing Strip LLC to construct a shipyard, boat building, and marine service facility, size of facility not mentioned, as an amendment to a previously approved special case at CAM application allowing boat storage at subject site.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies, Mr. Chairman. My name is Barry Knott. I'm a lawyer with the firm of Knott and Dunn with offices at 1656 Main Street, Stratford. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Landing Strip LLC. Mr. Andrew Cooley, who sits behind me, and his wife are the sole members of that entity. They are the owners of a piece of property slightly in excess of 60,000 square feet at 500 Sniffens Lane, which is located immediately to the left of the restaurant, which you probably knew as Knapp's Landing, at the end of Sniffens Lane. Andrew is also the sole member of Cooley Marine Management, LLC, which currently operates a boat repair, boat restoration, and boat building shop at 50 Housatonic Avenue at the former Brewers Marine facility. It is Andrew's intention to move his current facility from Housatonic Avenue to this location on Sniffens Lane. Mr. Jim Rotundo is here from Pereira Engineering, behind me also. He will be addressing you shortly regarding the site plan, landscaping plan, and architectural components of the facility. A new building is going to be constructed at this site, which will contain approximately 6,000 square feet. It will be a metal building built on a slab. As you can see from the site plan, there is currently in existence a gas dock extending into the river. My client will not be operating a gas dock at this facility. However, he will rehabilitate and maintain the dock structure as a facility to test and store boats awaiting service. The facility will have 13 full-time employees and will be open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday and occasionally on Saturday. In addition to ARB approval, this proposal will require CAM approval and special case approval from the Zoning Commission after referral to the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission and the Connecticut DEEP for their advice and consent. This is a permitted use in the underlying waterfront business district. As was indicated when the application was read, this is a modification from a previously approved special case approval for the gas dock. The guy that was operating the gas dock came in a few years ago and got approval to operate the gas dock. No buildings were ever constructed on the property, however, and the gas dock didn't work out to be too successful. The property has now been sold to my client, and he is proposing to do that which I have just explained. So, Jim, can you explain the site plan?
Good evening, my name is Jim Rotundo. I'm a professional engineer with Career Engineering. As Barry indicated, the site is located adjacent to Knapp's Landing, in between the restaurant and an industrial use to the west here. The existing site is currently used as a boat, or formerly used as a boatyard. There's currently some existing structures on the site, some trailers used for storage. All the existing structures on the site are proposed to be removed. The building is 60 by 100 feet in dimension. There is a roof overhang to the south with a concrete pad. There are overhead doors along the east and southerly elevations, and
Thank you. Yeah, come on up. Introduce yourself.
William Levy from William Levy Architecture. It's going to be a prefab metal-clad building. We're going to do a strip of brick on the bottom just to give it some texture. Blue roof, white metal cladding, signage on the building. Pretty simple.
And I'd like to introduce Andrew Cooley, who will tell you a little bit about his business.
Thank you, Barry. Andrew Cooley, as Barry said, we established Cooley Marine back in 2010, shortly after the closure of Director Shipyards, where myself and a lot of my key employees worked. We set up shop with the Brewer's Yard in Stratford some years ago. That's then turned into a safe harbor yard. This opportunity has presented itself to build our own boat yard. So where we work now in another yard, we do the repairs, the maintenance, we do the building, that sort of stuff. What we don't get is the boatyard storage, winterizations, all the services that come along with that. So this opportunity actually took 33 months to close with the sellers. It was a difficult process, but it's just a very favorable piece of property that you just don't come along too often, and it was something that we really felt it was the best opportunity for us. We've enjoyed becoming a part of the Stratford waterfront community, and this really kind of will solidify us, and plan to keep this in the family for as long as the family wants to do it.
Thanks, Andrew. The most important thing about this proposal is that this property is zoned waterfront business. This is exactly what is supposed to go in a waterfront business zone, if you look at the permitted uses. Condos aren't supposed to go there. Hotels aren't supposed to go there. Restaurants aren't. Shipyards are supposed to go there, and that's what this is. It's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Tom Sharkowitz.
First off, thank you for your presentation. I will agree with you that this is a good use of the space. Stratford is unique where it has both river and sound access. And it's really, really great to see, a Stratford business grow and expand here. I think that's a really exciting opportunity. I also want to thank you for the landscaping. That was something I don't think we saw in the initial submittal, but we see it now, and in terms of the site and considering the use of the building, it's a step in the right direction. A question I do have is, what is the current, pavement of the site? Is it grass? Is it gravel? A mix of the two? What's going on there?
It's sort of a mix. It's mostly sort of a mix. There's a lot of gravel. There's a few patches of asphalt. I think may have been actually even removed by now or deteriorated. There's a couple concrete pads, but there's really no consistency. There's vegetation, just growing some grasses and weeds and such.
Okay. I think normally we'd have a problem with this much gravel, but again, considering that it is a boatyard, you're not going to plant it, and I think that gravel is actually a lot better than actual asphalt paving or concrete, just in terms of runoff. Something I do want to note is that we see in the rendering, or a 3D view at least, of orderly boat storage.
The what?
There's boat storage on site, and they're all lined up nice in a row. John, I don't know if you could hold that up. Yeah, here. I think that's really great. Is that going to be reality?
It is, because the way we've laid out the site and figured out basically how many boats we could fit on the site, especially during the winter season, requires a pretty stringent, pattern to follow, based on size and order and everything else, and it'll be occupied, half the year like that. The other half of the year, it'll be primarily, some vacant boats, but it's the winter season right now. But yeah, trust me, I'm kind of stickler for that sort of thing. So the herringbone pattern is very efficient too, so.
That's what we like to hear, I think.
Yeah.
Just to, not putting this on you, but to prevent this from becoming like what it currently is, disheveled. I think that keeping things nice and orderly is going to work a lot in your favor for this location. And then I know my other commissioners are going to pick this up, but I want to say it quickly. The trash screening, what is it screened with?
Yeah, we haven't got into it in detail. It will be some kind of opaque vinyl fence or, we're up for suggestions. As Andrew said, we haven't finalized the detail on that, but it'll hide, the entire area, and it will be facing to the interior of the site. So the
Right.
gates will open to the interior site, not towards Sniffin's Lane.
Right, okay, so I think that since the trash area in general is located, right when you come in, it's visible, we always recommend CMU block or something a little bit nicer. Maybe, I see you have brick on the building, maybe if you could play off that, just screen it. We don't want to see trash ever, or even dumpsters.
Something that'll complement the building.
Exactly, yeah. And that's all I got, Jamie.
John Zabel?
Yes, good evening. Thank you for the thoroughness of your application and the renderings. The question I had is about the materials, though. While the renderings are good, they really don't speak right to how it's going to look. You know what I mean? Like you've heard a couple times tonight. I know you all were here during the, well, it's really going to be 3 foot, but we're showing it as 6 inch.
Right.
So if you could just describe the materials a little bit more, the brick type, color.
So the brick will be a thin brick, veneer, regular brick size, 2.5 by 8. We're going to bring it 4 feet up, and then from there, it's a white metal, corrugated metal panel.
Okay. Just a question about the awning. Just the scale of it is not working for me. It looks like it's kind of, the building's nice. I like the scale of the building. I love the transom windows. I love all that. And then I get to the awning and I'm kind of like, these spindly little things.
It's basically so that a boat can be sit in there and worked on.
To avoid
but being covered.
Yeah,
shade.
yeah, exactly. We need you need an outside space sometimes to do work, but, you
I almost wish it was a little further from the building, but then I know the pitch probably wouldn't work to get a larger size boat underneath.
yeah, we have to kind of
There.
maintain as much height, road height on a trailer of our boat's 15 feet.
Sure.
So we have to have a few feet above that.
Yeah, just so I my eyes are drawn to the building where they should be, and then I kind of saw that, and I was like, it almost looks like one of those pop-up. I get the feeling it's like one of those pop-up things. And you just
No, it's
attach
fixed.
to the. No, I know, but you know what I mean. Just the size and the scale of it. But again, understanding that, again, there's a utility to it.
Yes.
I can appreciate that. Any mechanicals? How's power brought to this site? Is it overhead, underground?
I believe it's all overhead off the street. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So no transformer or anything? You guys won't be using equipment that requires that?
We haven't gotten to that level yet. This isn't a flood zone, so I'm just myself observing what's in the area. I haven't seen any ground-mounted transformers just because it isn't a flood zone.
Sure. But I'm just wondering power requirements to do significant boat work. I can imagine that.
Max would be 480, so I think we have that on the street already. There's a
Okay.
heavy industry next, the property next door.
Sure.
It's a blast of paint.
Just certainly screening of anything like that because it might be street side.
We actually have, I know we were talking the other day, we have about 20 feet between the back end of the building and the vegetation, so into that, which is not visible from the street side, so anything
Sure.
like that could be put back there.
Just screening. You probably heard it on all these
Yep.
other
Okay.
applications tonight. That's one thing.
Yeah.
We do take seriously, especially like Tom said, there's not a huge viewport from this site, but it's enough
Yeah.
that you look in there, you were gonna see this nice building, orderly boats,
Yeah.
screening of the trash. Is there access to the waterfront from here? There's gonna be no boat launching from the property, is there?
There's an adjacent boat ramp just to the south, I guess, along next to Knapp's Landing, or the
Yes.
Landing Restaurant,
Mhm.
which is a town ramp.
Yep.
Then we also have Bird's Eye Launch, so it'll be all trailerable.
Okay, so the viewport, again, this is kind of our first on the water. What's the view from the water? I mean, what's that anticipated to
From the water?
to look like? Yeah.
So from the water, you'll see dock, you'll see the raise of the property, and then the building's set back. We've actually purposely put the building on, the western side there, because it does not obstruct any view in the property of the water, of the, the wildlife, the vegetation.
Sure.
It's pretty spectacular.
Any
view.
enhancements that you could do for vegetation there, so you're not just looking like at a boat graveyard, you know what I mean, during the
From the
winter
water
months,
side?
people are still out on the water, you know what I mean?
Water side, you mean?
On the water side, yeah. I don't know what the accessibility is there to
It
do
kinda-
anything.
it
This
falls
is
into-
unique, it's our
Yeah,
first.
no, it falls into a kind of a riprap and then down to the shoreline.
Any sort of grasses or anything like that, just to add some character to the property, not just boats, like,
There is tidal wetlands along
Yeah.
there.
okay.
So that goes through its natural process, not being an environmental biologist.
Sure.
So that's an existing tidal wetland that goes through its cycles.
Yeah,
Sure.
so if you
Just
are
anything you could do there to enhance the visual nature, because again, there's gonna be a lot of boats there in the winter. I mean, you drive down to the other property we just discussed during the winter, and that's
Yeah.
all you see.
Yeah,
So just anything to break up that
okay.
along the waterfront would be appreciated. And nothing else, Jamie. Thank you again.
Steve Law?
Steve Law, Vice Chairman, thank you very much for putting this together for us to review. Just to echo what Commissioner Isabel said, I think that canopy is going to be a little beefier when it actually gets engineered. That it's a metal roof deck, there's going to be some steel in there that supports that. So I think in reality, it will be a little beefier, which may. Right. Just tell me a little bit about the symmetry of the overhead doors. It seems like it's asymmetrical to the ridge of the shed roof, the gable. Is that a reason?
Windows are on the right side,
Yeah.
that's a little office area. So from the inside, everything got shifted a little bit left to have the boats come in.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems a little odd that my mind wants to put the two taller overhead doors centered under the ridge, but.
We could check to see if it gives us enough room on the left side.
Yeah, and are those louvers or are those windows up above the overhead?
Windows.
Those are windows, okay,
Get some light in there.
yeah,
Yeah, natural light helps doing any of that work.
yeah. And then you mentioned the thin brick. Thin brick on the metal siding will stop at I guess, the cap.
Yeah,
Is there any,
we'll have a CMU wall or concrete wall.
Okay.
Put the thin brick on top of that.
so is there any cap on top of that thin
Probably
brick?
be a slanted brick top.
Okay, yeah, that helps quite a bit. I think that's it, Jamie, that's all I have.
Okay, Jamie Millward, Chairman, thank you for your presentation. The block retaining wall, can you just tell me about the grades? I noticed on the Knapp's Landing, or whatever it's called now.
Right, it's not gonna be a tall wall, and the reason for that, and then we actually talked about this if we look at some sloping. There are some environmental issues on the site, and the LEP on the project for capping it is recommending that we put at least a foot of fill on top. And that will take care of what needs to be done there. So as that abuts the Knapp's Landing property, we have to make up that grade change, and that's what's gonna support that fill. So it's only, I think it's like 18 inches is its highest point.
Okay, so 18 inches. So, and I'm not sure where our jurisdiction lies here, but, I've been to Knapp's Landing, probably all has been there plenty of times, sat out there on the back patio, and the way this is set up right now, I've even walked around. You can walk around that side of the building, and you're looking at a bunch of, boats in there. I'm just wondering if you guys would consider some kind of solid fence screening there, so at least from the patio, you're not looking right into the boatyard like that. Maybe it's partially for you guys too, if it's security or something, but certainly I know it's not your problem for the restaurant. They can, I guess, put up their own fence, but they're not here in front of us, and we can't walk out and tell them what to do, but,
We were actually discussing that last week. We had a site meeting. So we were discussing that. We're looking at some kind of solid fence to protect or the view from the adjacent properties, but also the boats that are stored there. So there's a little privacy as far as the names on the boats, and they're just not that visible
Yeah.
to people outside of the property.
okay. So, and I'm not talking, obviously not something tall enough you don't see mast or what, but something at least, and in this photo, were you imagining that how far back were you guys talking about carrying that fence?
I think we'd be going the whole property line.
The whole property line, all the way out to the entrance point out here?
Yeah, there's an
Yes.
existing chain link fence, that whole property line now.
Oh, that's not legal.
It kind of meanders across the property line, so we're not sure who actually owns it.
Okay.
If it's Andrews or if it's the Knapp's Landing, but, I mean, it would be nice if we put up this
Oh,
new
I
fence that we'd be able
I
to
do
take
see
that
that
down.
lightly ghosted, there's a fence there, yeah. Okay, look, I think that would be helpful for both parties, and I think what that fence, looks like, we're gonna care about. You can't do a chain link fence, so, something attractive there that'll, it's yours, you want it to be nice, so I think that'll be helpful. Other than that, I don't have any other further comments, though. John?
I always remember one thing. Commissioner Sharkowitz had asked, and you guys had responded that it will be gravel. But my one concern is you go to a lot of these lots that are gravel. Again, I don't mind gravel. I understand the purpose and use. Just make sure it's thick enough. You know what I mean? The worst thing I always see is that it's run through and it's piled up in certain areas, and you know what I mean? It's got, at least in my opinion, it has to look consistent all the time. You know what I mean? That's my one concern with gravel versus pavement. Pavement, again, other than spills, drips, and the like, as Tom had mentioned, the gravel has an aesthetic if it's applied correctly.
At the zoning commission hearing, the application gets referred to the town engineer and all the town agencies, and John Casey, because it's not going to be asphalt, John Casey is going to dictate the extent of the gravel, the height of the gravel.
Sure. I'm just, yeah.
It's also necessary for hard compact for storing boats and
Sure.
everything else, so, it's totally understandable.
That was it.
Anything further from the presenters? No. Any further comments from our commission? Is there a motion?
I'd like to put forth a favorable motion with the following bullet points. Trash area shall be fully enclosed from view with materials that complement the proposed materials of the larger building. Consider enhancing the size of the canopy roof and columns as practical to carry visual weight more appropriately. Any transformers or mechanical units shall be screened with landscaping as appropriate. Consider enhancing landscaping across the site to soften the harsh environment. Consider aligning the center between overhead doors with the gable as practical with interior usage. And consider solid fencing along the Knapp's Landing property line, possibly coordinating with that neighbor.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so we got a couple things left to do, guys. We skipped over the
Approval of minutes?
meeting minutes because I think you, Tom, no, you were here. No, oh, you weren't here tonight, but we needed 3 people. Tom was not there.
No.
We needed 3 people. So, do I have a motion regarding the minutes of September 14th?
Motion to approve the minutes of the ARB meeting of September 14th, 2023.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting minutes of September 14th, 2023 carries unanimously. Final on the agenda, we all have the schedule of ARB 2024 meetings. They're the, what is that, the second Thursday, like always, of the month. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries unanimously. Is there any other new business that we need to discuss tonight?
Just quickly, our application that we had approved down on Main Street, of the Starbucks over there. It just was, I've been driving by it recently, and I just,
By Sikorsky.
yeah, it's one of those things where I think we had asked for quite a bit at the entryway, and I'm just not overly satisfied. I don't know if you guys have been down there lately. Yeah, we were told it was gonna kind of match the aesthetics of the Merritt Parkway and such at the entrance, and now it's just a regular old fieldstone metal signage, and the signage for the businesses is way less than. It appears it might be the Starbucks one. It's a
I
little
wasn't
black,
convinced it was either. I thought it was the Starbucks one, yes, but I didn't.
but it's a little black pole sign, interior lit, and it definitely doesn't match the aesthetic of the stone wall that it's sitting right next.
Yeah.
Just some concerns. Like I said, I understand the zoning commission, and having talked with a lot of them, and seeing the way these have moved forward, are doing a great job. Those are just some things that I had noticed, and I was like, so, you know what I mean? It may help to more clearly convey some things that Tom has obviously been doing a great job with, but definitely providing detail if we want to get more along the lines of what
Look,
we think we're
I think
asking.
so once it's out there and it's built, I'm not sure what our
Nothing.
authority is. But, and, you know, we did get, it seems like Dan Brennan, who's the zoning enforcement officer, and I sent out that package of the church conversion, and I have not, we just got the landscaping plan, and I've been a little preoccupied with other things, but, you know, if you guys have any comments on that, and I know someone asked you, Tom, about the trees and everything.
That
Yes?
reminds me, Daniel asked me to mention to you that he needs it ASAP.
Yes, that's why I'm bringing it up, so.
Okay.
You know, so if you have any comments, I mean, you know, keep in mind, this, they're getting a permit for the church building only. So all the stuff, the trees around the cul-de-sac, all that stuff is not part of the deal.
Oops.
So, if,
That might be one of the hottest, topics in town, though. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, because it's in a residential neighborhood. I've just heard a lot of rumblings.
well, it doesn't mean you can't.
You
comment
did?
you know,
On which
if you
one?
want. Look, if not, I mean, I think they turned the gables, they did a reasonable job what we asked. And so I would generally say, that's what I would generally say, that it's in general, compliance with what we requested. Dan is being nice enough to
I
give
guess-
the opportunity to comment on that, which is.
As a point of order, should we not, I'm thinking we should do that in the public realm?
It's not on the agenda, so you can adjourn the meeting and you can have the discussion about the permit. It's fine.
Okay.
I don't, okay. I'm asking you to send me an email reply.
I
And
thought
that's
you were
it.
talking about a
And-
specific permit application.
No, no,
for-
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, something that's passed.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's all you need to do. And so
Okay.
if you're gonna send something, you send it to me by the end of the day tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I sent it to you all so everybody could
I
have
know.
a chance to chime in if you.
I've been a little
Okay.
busy.
Well, along those same lines, what about other applications, other built applications that do not address our concerns?
Look, I think in general, I think we can speak in general, right? So in general, you know, you read the recommendations from the zoning commission, they have pretty specifically put forth what we say.
That's what I was saying.
And then the next step is when they go to get a zoning permit, and if that's part of the conditions, what Dan is doing, at least for this project, is what he should be doing, which is,
He's going to send for every project.
he's gonna send every project.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was evident tonight, and I felt the need to point it out to Barry. I don't know if he was the conveyance or not, but certainly a lot of what we had asked for when that Starbucks came around the first time, they incorporated into this. I mean, I looked at Tom's notes and it was like only that much on that property.
Yeah.
So, it's working.
Yeah, I think if we're asking if we're being successful, if that's really the point, I think slowly we are. I mean, I think we're, I feel like we're making a little bit of a difference. And it's, I always said this was going to take years and years and years. If you go back and you remember what I said, and at least 5 years before, and I think we're probably further along than I would have guessed. So, it's okay. All right, any other?
Barry took a lot of notes.
Yeah, well, he knows. He's finding out that the zoning commission is making a condition of approval. So he knows that it's not just, yes, we are just advisory, but if it becomes part of a condition of approval, that makes us a lot more than advisory.
Yeah.
That empowers us, and especially if Dan then is going to, bring those back in front of us for our review again. Yeah, that's,
All right.
so, anyway.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?